Welcome back to Fortnite Battle Pass with Luke Jem.
And Sammy Jacob. Today we'll be interviewing our math teacher, Michael Lanzarone.
So when you were young, like under 20s, what were your favorite jobs that you worked?
Under 20s? I was a bag boy for Ralph's. That was pretty fun. I could wear shorts. It was pretty awesome. In the heat of Sacramento. But outside of that, I was in college and I was like basically these scientists, like little, I can't say what I want to say. I was their lackey. There we go. I like washed all their glassware. They would use like graduated cylinders. They'd like mix stuff in beakers, and they'd throw all their glassware into these tubs. And so I would wash their glassware. I'd also make little media for their bacteria to grow in, using an autoclave and stuff like that. And I got a parking pass from my college out of it because I would look up stuff, like look up scientific journals for them. So that was pretty awesome. I got to park on campus, which like at UCSD costs like something stupid like $400 or $500 a semester. Geez. So anyhow, so that was pretty beast. I like that job.
How long did you do that?
The autoclave that was for maybe a year and a half.
Was that during college?
Yeah. So it was my last 2 years at UCSD, and they paid well too. And I got to be around again all these like science nerds. So that was kind of cool.
So you kind of learned something else just from being there, kind of?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit, but not a whole lot. Like it, it was more like how to mix stuff together. Yeah, so it was nice. It was good.
Cool.
I definitely enjoyed it.
Talking about college, where did you go to college?
So I went to multiple colleges, but ended up at UCSD for my last 2 years and got a degree from there.
In math teaching?
Oh yeah, in secondary math education. So it was basically like a mile-wide, inch-deep survey of math. And then at my senior year, they're quarters, but there are really 3 of them per school year, whatever. Each of the quarters I took teaching classes. So like the first one, we just observed classes for like 40 hours. The next one, we actually had to teach a class somewhere in town for like 40 hours. And then the third one was in an Avid classroom. But it was nice because when I walked into my teaching program in Juneau, I'd already taught about 10 weeks of a class, so I knew what to do. So it was pretty nice.
Your first teaching job was in Juneau, Alaska?
First teaching job was in Anchorage. I got my master's at Juneau, Alaska. Yep.
You got it.
Mm-hmm. Changing subjects. Did you have any pets as kids?
I did, yep.
And if so, which was your favorite?
Oh, probably a cat. We had a black and white cat named Oreo. I don't know what happened to her. I feel like she ended up in a bag in the backyard.
Jesus.
Yeah, well, I mean, she died, right? So, like, what are we going to do? Like, pretty sure she died one day, and we were just like, yep, throw her in a bag, dig a hole.
I feel like Oreo is such like a pet's name.
No doubt,
There's
yeah.
so many
That's a good cat.
Anything black and white, they're like, oh, Oreo. Yeah, yep. Yeah, probably the cat. I'm going to go with the cat. Yep. No.
Do you have any pets now, actually?
I do. Yep. We just lost our dog last year. He was super old, but we have a super fat cat. Like I always thought that Garfield was kind of a joke, right? Like, oh, this fat orange male cat. But dude, every orange male cat is fat, and like he'll just eat anything, man. Like anything that's left on the counter, he just like the mac and cheese right now. Like he would eat the mac and cheese. Anyways, yeah. So we got a cat, big orange male tabby.
What's your cat's name?
It's Vincent. So it's
Vincent.
Vinny. We call him Vinny. Yep. Along with a whole bunch of other pet names. Yep.
I thought it was going to be Garfield.
No.
I thought that too.
I just call him Fatty. So.
What are your reasons for teaching?
Oh, okay. So I'll take you through this journey. So I was always okay at math. I took like algebra in 8th grade, so that'd be like you, right? Like you're like 1 year advanced, right, kind of thing. Yeah. And it wasn't like super into it. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'm good at this, whatever. And my high school was on a 4x4 block, and like Truckee is. And I took geometry my first semester of my freshman year, and proofs suck, right? Like you're an integrated too, right? You've seen it. Like proofs are horrible, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't really like geometry, and we got to the trig section, and I freaking like loved it, right? Anyways, I got to trig, and I went down to my counselor, right? Because we had an entire trig class at my high school. I went down to my counselor like a couple days into the trig unit and was like, "Yo, I need to get to trig faster, so sign me up for Algebra 2 next semester," right? And so I took Algebra 2 my second semester, my freshman year. Took trig.
You dirtied my
Bro.
sweater.
Anyways,
Bro.
You puto sweater,
Oh
güey.
my
okay.
We'll cut that out.
All you can hear is audio. I just got assaulted by a student. Anyways, so I took trig my first semester of my sophomore year, right? Then at that point I realized I could just like get to calculus and get it done by the time I was out of my junior year. Anyways, long story. At some point along the way in these upper classes at my high school, they were passing around like a tutor list, like throw your name on the list, throw a phone number down, and then like what price
Seriously,
you
that
would
better
charge.
not be great.
And I
'Cause I got on my
started
sweater.
get out of here. I started tutoring when I was a sophomore. And I was, making side hustle money, right? Which, of course, if I told you how much I was charging, you guys would all laugh at this point. Inflation and all that, In any case, but I was getting like all this like free, like money at just helping people do math. And I did that all through high school and realized that like I've got a knack for like teaching people math, right? That was not going to be my job though, like because like my math teacher was telling me there's no money in it, go do something better than me kind of thing. And so not knowing much at that point, it was like, hey, I like math and science and money, right? And so I went to Cal Poly for my first year in engineering because it was like, oh, that's math, science, and money, right? Anyways, at some point along the way, I knew that I was like, my plan was go be an engineer for however many years, like retire from it, and then go teach at a community college, specifically night classes at a community college. Like that's the gravy train right there, right? That was my whole plan. And then I moved to San Diego, realized that big cities suck, and realized that if I was going to be an engineer, that I'd be living in a big city, probably the Bay or LA, right? Like for my whole life, and that was not what I wanted to do. And so at some point, I was like, I always knew that I was going to teach math, so why not just like cut out the engineering and just go straight for it? It's been a decent road. I mean, it sucks living up here and not being able to buy a house and thinking that like, man, if I was an engineer, I could buy a house. So like that kind of sucks, but definitely don't regret it. Like this is a pretty decent job, especially because like this is my room, right? I've got a window office, kind of thing, right? Like, I'm not in a cubicle somewhere. Because if I was an engineer, like I definitely would be sitting in a cubicle.
Right, it might be more of like an office job.
Do you live in Cornelia Bay?
I do now. Yep.
So
Right
really-
down the street
That
from you.
gray house?
Yep.
Bro.
Jake. It's like really the biggest thing that made you become a math teacher was big cities and not wanting to live in big cities.
Well, the tutoring to begin with, but because I was the plan again was engineer, and then retire to fall back on teaching.
Yeah.
And it was big cities, absolutely. Yeah. And this has kind of proved, at least with our move here, has kind of proved to be true. Like you can teach math anywhere, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be where the jobs are, or you don't have to be where the engineering firm is, right?
That's anywhere.
Yeah, the job came up here, and I was like, hey guys, I'm qualified, and they were like, yeah, sure.
So did you move here for the job, or were you previously in Tahoe?
No, I wasn't previously in Tahoe,
Okay.
but the job and the move coincided,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So we tried to move the year before, and there wasn't a job. There was a job for my wife, but there wasn't a job for me. And we were like, nope, like I don't think we can hack it on one income. And then the following year, this job came up and a job at Truckee. But I contacted Mitchell first, and that's it. And we were like, yeah, we can do it on this income at least. So,
When was that? How long have you been working here?
this is my third year. So I moved the first Rona year.
And then
right?
where were you teaching before this?
I taught for about 13 years up in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yep.
And is that your only other teaching job? Or
We
besides the tutor?
bounced for a year and a half. We moved down, and then ended up freaking in San Diego again. And we're like, how the hell did we do this again? Like here we are in a city, and so people at my old job up in Anchorage were like, hey, we just had a math teacher quit. You want your old job back? Ha 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 ha. And I was like, I'm actually not laughing. Like, is this a for real thing? And so, anyways, we spent a year in Placerville, which was not the place that people like us live. And for that one, we moved for the job. The job was up. We took the job. We were like, we need to get out of Alaska. We're too far away from family. We had just had kids, and it was a lot. And so we moved down to where there was a job, thinking that it was close to my family in Sac. And Placerville sucks. Like, I'm sure it's good for some things, but like not our people. Like, I don't drive around with the Confederate flag in my truck, nor do I have a truck.
Placerville like that?
Yeah, for sure, dude. It's
not the Confederate side.
It's
of it.
near. Anyways, so I taught for a year at a school there, and then we had to get the hell away from my family also, because it was like, why did we move close to my family when they're the crazy ones? And so my wife's family was still down in San Diego, and so we took a job down there. But again, like halfway through the year, we got fed up with it and moved back to Alaska. So yeah.
So you've been in Alaska a lot.
Yeah, we spent, I think, 14 years up there, because I finished the 1 year of school as well. Yep.
Do you ever miss it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Do you ever go back?
Was that?
Do you ever go back?
I've not been back. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. I went back last summer. We did this crazy backpacking trip with my buddies. But no, like the family's not been back since we left. Now Rona has a part of that, but also like Anchorage is not like the best city.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of problems, and it's also not like the most beautiful part of Alaska. If we go back, it's probably gonna be the Panhandle, like Juneau and Sitka and all that.
Did you originally move there for the job?
No. So we were in San Diego, right? My wife and I, or not at the time wife, but same person. And I was ready to do my master's in teaching and get my credential. My wife was ready to transfer to a 4-year university. She was at a community college, and it's a big city. Like this is like, so we realized that we don't want to be anywhere near LA or Southern California, and we wanted to go far away. And we did a college search online, and it came up alphabetically. Alabama, not our jam, and then Alaska was next. And as all the idiot lower 48ers, it's like, oh, they have schools in Alaska? Like, really? Right? It's not just igloos and polar bears and penguins, which don't exist up there, right? Like, I mean, that's fine, because that's what you think of, right? And so, and basically there's 3 public schools up there. There's one in Fairbanks, which is cold as hell. So we weren't going from San Diego to Fairbanks. There's one in Anchorage, which we were going from a big city to the big city, so we didn't go there.
Isn't that still hella cold compared to San Diego though? Like,
yeah, but manageable. And then there was one in Juneau, which is further south, so it's more temperate, but Juneau is wet and like damp, and so the cold there is even worse, right? So
isn't it like kind of like Portland, West Canada weather?
It is West
like
Canada
Vancouver.
Weather. Absolutely.
Oh, that's like a 10,000 mile area.
It is
West,
true though. It's West Canada, man. It is the western. It is exactly the same, right? It is wet and cold. I mean, like it's a rainforest in Juneau. The whole Panhandle's a rainforest. So anyway, so we went to Juneau just because that was like the thing that we could hack better than the other 2 places. So it was literally the big city, then people that drove us out up to Alaska.
Did you know that it was going to be like that kind of weather? It's like
kind of.
I really like the rain, and I want to move somewhere where it rains.
Yeah, you should go to Juneau. It's awesome.
Maybe I'm
telling you, man, it's pretty good.
Or Western Canada.
Or the whole Western Canada seaboard. Yep, exactly. We knew it was going to be like that. And then eventually at some point we realized that I couldn't get, because I did my master's there, that town's so small that either somebody had to die or retire or move, I guess, for a job to open, and that wasn't going to happen. And so we moved to the big city where they had more jobs. Regretted it the moment we drove into the city, by the way. We pulled off the highway because, we're pulling in and like this little 2-lane road that we were coming through Alaska on turned into a like 6-lane like super highway, and my wife was like, what the hell is this? Right. And then like, you live, you've been through towns and stuff, like pretty much places off highways are not like the city's finest that they have to offer, right? And like that is absolutely true in Anchorage and the east side. It is like not full on slums, but like, man, like it's rough, right? And so we pull off the highway, and my wife like starts crying, right? And she's like, what did we do? I want to move back. And I'm like, we can't move back. We just drove 600 miles and took a ferry ride over here. Like, I don't think our car can even make it back, right? The thing is, it was like this old Subaru. And so we were there, and it's fine. And so back to the question, like, do I miss it? Yeah, like I miss the friends that we made up there. I miss the fact that you can just go into the woods and like never come back out. You don't have to get a permit for it, right? You can just go and be like, I'm going to hike from this point to this point, or I'm going to ski from this point to this point. Here's a little bit more sketchy.
Did you do a lot of skiing up there?
Cross country, yes. Yeah, definitely cross country a
That's
lot.
where you're fucking bonding,
Are you
you
serious
got
right now?
Guys,
Are you serious right
We're
now?
recording something for English.
Thanks. Okay. Which is why I keep throwing stuff at you. So the downhill though, definitely no. I don't know if you guys have been up there to Alyeska. It's ass.
A couple of our friends went there a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
it is though. I mean, it's super expensive, and it's like 3 lifts, and it's like this one little cut of the mountain, and that's it. And where it is in Anchorage, it like rains a lot, so it's just like ice. It's cold and ice, and it's like.
Isn't there like really good heli skiing up there though?
Probably. I never did that, but I did backcountry stuff or cross country, backcountry.
Yeah.
Like we would go like ski for like 50 miles.
Oh,
and,
that's
and
sick.
you know, point to point kind of thing, which was awesome. Yeah, for sure. It's all day long, just over and over, right? So that was cool. But yeah, yep.
Do you do a lot of backcountry and cross country skiing here?
Only cross country on the trails, right? Backcountry, I've not been hooked into any of that yet. The downhill stuff freaks me out, like the whole avalanche business. Like I don't know, maybe it's less scary than it really seems, but like, do people die in that? And like, I'm not about that life. So,
Not about the nightlife.
yeah, no, I mean, no, like I like the whole like traveling, like that's awesome,
Yeah.
and point to point, that's
Yeah.
great. But like, I don't know about the downhill. Y'all seem a little crazy to me.
On the sports topic, did you do any sports in high school?
Yeah, I played basketball and football until through my junior year. I had a bad taste in my mouth with the varsity coaches.
Yeah.
Because it was like, especially in football, it was like, oh well, the seniors play,
Yeah.
right? Juniors ride the bench, and so what ended up happening, right? So tied in with my mathness, right? So I was done with all of my calculi by the time I ended my junior year. And so I was faced with this option of like, I can go to a community college and keep pushing this math business and take night classes and get credit and like go towards my future, or I can punish myself for an hour and a half or 2 hours every day after school and maybe not play anyways, you know? And like, I wasn't really those guys. Like I wasn't the, what's up, man? Like I wasn't like the jock guy, but I could kind of straddle like the nerds and the jocks. But at some point I was like, you guys are lame. Like football's not taking me anywhere. Basketball's not taking me anywhere. Also, basketball wasn't taking me anywhere because I grew up tall, so I didn't develop a shot, right? And then everybody else
place
grew,
gets
and then I was
sensitive.
like, now I have to shoot. Like I don't have a good shot, right? So it's developed. It's decent now, but not good enough. Anyway, so at some point I was like, screw this, I'm done.
Yeah.
And my senior year, I just took Calc 3 and differential equations, which panned out in the long run. So. Yeah.
And did you continue any sports after high school, or?
I'll do like intramural basketball. Yeah, like men's league stuff.
Yeah.
We had a team up in Anchorage. We were all the old dudes. It was great. It was like they'd let anybody into these league that's an adult, right? And so we'd show up, and there's some teams that are like right out of high school, and they're just like mopping the floor with us. Like, it was great, but it was a good time. We had more communication, is what we said, right? So we could play a little bit better. But yeah, it was good. Yeah, so basketball outside of school for sure.
Should we just end it on that? 'Cause it's kind of long.
Let's do a movie question then.
Okay.
What are your favorite movies? You can give us like top 3 or like top 5, or if you have a definitive one.
Oh man. So there's this movie called Death to Smoochie, which is it's hilarious. It's about this like this kids show like Barney figure, right? Like kids show stuff, and there's all this like there's like scandals and like drugs and like all this stuff that happens, and it's freaking hilarious because it's just like this commentary on like, you know, exploiting children. Not like that, but,
I mean,
commercially
The
exploiting them.
cast looks funny.
Yeah, it's got Robin Williams and
Danny
Edward Norton
DeVito.
in it. Yeah, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's like these guys that are decent. Anyway, so that might be my favorite movie.
That looks hella funny.
There's other ones, and I don't know. Trying to think which ones. I like comedies, right?
Yeah.
Comedies are good. What did we just show the kids? Nope, can't remember. I don't know. There's good ones. I like Will Ferrell a lot, so most anything that he makes
Yeah, Will.
are pretty good. Oh yeah, that might have been something we showed the kids. Can't show them Blades of Glory yet. There's too much sex.
Love
in it.
that movie.
But that movie's freaking hilarious. That movie's great. Yep.
What did you think about the movie Downhill? Have you seen it?
No.
It's not very good.
No.
I wouldn't recommend.
He's in it?
It like made Will Ferrell like go down a little bit. He used to be like one.
So I feel like that whatever the basketball movie is with him, like he's like the
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
the D-League basketball team or something. That one wasn't as funny, but like Anchorman's good. Yep.
Anchorman.
Step Brothers is pretty good too. But
Talladega Nights.
Step Brothers. Step
Oh, yeah,
Brothers
we
is hella
showed the
funny.
kids Talladega Nights, and we had to explain to them. We're like, well, like since we don't watch NASCAR, like you need to understand
Yeah.
that like, this is actually super funny. Yeah, I like movies that are funny and have like social commentary.
Yeah.
Like, aren't just like slapstick, but
Yeah.
it's like poking fun at like the way reality is.
Yeah.
Did you watch like the new like Spider-Man and Batman movies, or are you not into like?
No, I don't go to the movies. I'll wait for them to come online where I can illegally watch them. I'm sorry, it's legal. It's legal in Tonga, so I'm sure it's fine here. And I'm sure it's also probably not putting tracking devices or anything, or like any sort of viruses on my computer. I'm sure. I'm sure. It's good.
Of course,
Yep.
a parody
What's that?
website is
So 2 day 2.
That's right. That's exactly it. Yep. So today.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
I have to pay for it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mostly because the last time I tried to download stuff, Suddenlink slapped my hand. So they told me I had to take off all of my torrent downloading software.
Oh,
So yeah. They actually shut off the internet. It's bad. We should switch to Spectrum though now. So maybe Spectrum will allow me to
Won't
download.
notice.
What's that?
They just won't notice.
Exactly. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Hopefully, because I don't pay for things.
And last question.
Yep.
Your kids.
Yep.
What are your kids like?
Weird.
How old are they?
So the boy is almost 12, and the girl's almost 10. They are born 1 year and 365 days apart, because she was born on the leap year, and so they were both born on the summer solstice also, which is super
That's
freaky.
cool.
We were up in Alaska when it happened, and like solstice in Alaska, either summer or winter's huge, right? Because you have
Yeah.
either all the sun or all
All
the
dark,
darkness, right?
yeah.
June
Exactly.
21st?
Yeah, so my boy's June 21st, and then my girl's June 20th, which
So,
on the leap year is the solstice. So like it's freaky. It's some like Wiccan stuff, dude. Like I swear.
That's my sister's
Yeah.
birthday. This
It-
June 21st.
Oh yeah, so it's another solstice baby. Yeah. Anyways, so no, it's good. It's crazy because prior to kids, I was a big believer in it's all about nurture, right? Like you can't tell me that genes like program people to be certain ways. It's about the environment in which you're raised.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it's probably 50-50, right?
Really?
Which is what they said all along. And I was like,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're talking about. And like, dude, like my son has been the same like person, and my daughter has been the same person since they were born.
It's
like,
weird because I've heard that like from a lot of people.
Yeah.
it's because you don't think it, right?
Yeah.
And then also like genetics is just a roll of the dice, man.
Yeah.
Like both my wife and I have dark hair, dark eyes. She has green eyes. But like my son came out like super blonde-headed, blue-eyed, right? And so
Hella
of course,
recessive gene.
right, of course, like we would joke with my students that like he looks like the mailman, kind of thing, right? But it's just a roll of the dice, man. Like my sister has blue eyes, like my wife's mom has blue eyes, like it's in there,
Yeah.
and it just dice came up the way they did, man, and there it is, right?
Yeah.
And my daughter also, there's some things where she looks a little bit more like us, but yeah, it's crazy. It's been a super wild ride. If you guys ever have children, pretty soon into parenthood, you will not remember what life was like before kids. Like I don't know what we did with our time. Like it's weird.
So much of
really
it's just taken up by the kids now.
Oh God, you did everything.
Yeah.
Like driving them here, driving them there, making their snacks in the morning, making sure that everybody has dinner, this and that. Like they call you from their room and they need this, and you're just. It's better now that they're older because they're way more like independent. But early on, man, damn, you just are run ragged. Like and it's good because it's good and they're your children and they're your like responsibility. You want the best for them, so you do it. But man, it's crazy. Nobody tells you this. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, kids, right? Oh, she's pregnant, yay!" And then it's like every family has like a time and it probably hits the ladies more than the dudes, but like it has a time where like you have this child in your arms and they're screaming and crying, and you also are just like crying because there's nothing you can do about this. Like, and then you're like, what did I do? And you can't give it back. And like, you know, like, but no, it's good. It's super cool to see him like do things and just learn different things. And anyways, it's good. I like kids. You know, yep. I don't want any more, but you know, yep. I'm good where we are. So like, yep.
That's cool. The nature versus nurture thing is cool, and how it actually like helped you realize that it was closer to 50-50 than you thought.
For sure, man. I like 100% believed it. I was like, man, if we could get kids out of like crappy situations into like loving homes, like we could change like the world. And that's still probably true, but it's not. You're not going to change their
To a
personality.
degree, right,
You're not going to change things that are like inherently built into them. And it's just it's nuts that because my kids basically have the same house, right? And they're wildly different.
Yeah.
Wildly different. And that's the genes, right? So.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for
Yeah, thank you
letting us
for-
interview.
Absolutely.
That's the end of it. Thank